Hello, and welcome to the 8th in this series of Django screencasts called Django from the Ground Up. In this episode, we're going to start building out the social features of the site. If you remember, Start the Dark is an open source project as well as the screencast series. If you go to startthedark.com and you click on open source on the bottom, you'll find links to the GitHub repository and to an issue tracker where you can report any bugs. Now, if you'll notice, this Start the Dark website, one of the main features of it is the actual social network aspect. If you click on Tonight or if you click on Archive, what this is really doing is just showing lists of what your friends are doing. So it's very coupled with the friend idea. And the same thing here. I mean, there's a whole submenu dedicated to talking about who you're following, your latest users, to finding friends. I mean, friends are a huge part of this website. So before we can really go any further in building out our version, we're going to have to go ahead and start implementing the friendship portions. Now, if you look at what we've got here already, in terms of events, we've got a fairly complete system. I mean, functionality-wise. It doesn't look great yet, but we can create, we can go to an archive or click on Tonight. But really, we don't have the concept of friends yet. So what we really want to do is build that. Now, there's some great projects out there, including Django Friends, which is used in the Pinax project. But all of these projects that are out there right now don't quite fit our needs because they have a bi-directional friendship model. And what we're really interested in this series is a unidirectional following or not following model. We're looking to build sort of a directed graph instead of an undirected graph of the social network. So it's not extremely hard to do this. I'm going to go a little faster on this than I did on the Events app because many of the same principles apply, and it may become boring if you don't if you aren't interested in watching the same thing again. But there are a few tips and tricks that are slightly different in this than last time, especially since it's a different concept we're implementing. So we're going to go ahead and start a new app. So Python manage .py start app, and we're going to call it social graph. And inside of social graph, we get our models, views, and in it, I'm going to already just go ahead and touch URLs, and we're going to touch admin and forms and even util, which was not available which is not something we did last time, was the util, and I'll explain why in just a moment. So we'll go into the models first, and we're only going to really need one model here. We're going to call it userlink, and that is models.model, just like normal. And we might as well just go from django.contrib.auth.models import user, and we're going to do also the standard, because we always do things with dates and times in this app at least. So we're going to do from datetime import datetime. Okay, so then we go down here and we're only going to have three fields. We're going to have a field for from user, models.foreign key to user, and related name will be following set, so that when you do a user, you can say user.followingset.all, and it'll give all of the user links that represent who they're following. So to user equals models.foreign key user, related name equals follower set, because it's the opposite. So we're actually just creating, if you think about this as an intermediary, it's very similar. Unfortunately, Django doesn't support adding intermediary models on arbitrary models. Like, we can't add it to user, but what we can do is still use the idea, the idiom, and we're also doing the date that it was added. And then we can do things like def Unicode, so that we can get a textual representation just like before. And we're going to say %s is following %s. So we're going to say self.fromUser.username and then self.toUser.username. And oops, we have to actually return that. I've made that mistake before. And now we've pushed that off of the 80 character limit. Let's stay in PEP 8. PEP8, if you're not familiar, is sort of a standardized coding style for Python code. Okay, and now we're going to do def save, and remember to take in args and keyword arguments. And then we're going to do if self dot from user equals self dot to user raise value error cannot follow yourself. We want to stop this ability from the get-go. And then we'll do super user link self dot save args. Actually, you know what? Let's not take in args. There's never going to be arguments. So we're calling the parent function here. This gets the parent function or the parent class, and then we're calling the save method on that, which we've done before. And now one of the things we want to do is we want to make sure that the user link is unique for every unique combination of to user and from user. So we can do that very easily by saying unique together equals and then a list of tuples. So we're going to actually do to user from user. And this means that every unique combination of to user and from user is guaranteed to be unique. So, I'm sorry, every distinct combination. So that's pretty much it. I mean, we're just adding, we're trying to create a graph, so we have to create the edges. We've already got the nodes, which are users, and so there we go. So now what let's do is let's just go ahead and flesh out the admin right away. From Django.contrib import admin. From socialgraph.models import user link. Admin.site.register user link. So exactly standard stuff that we've done before. Again, we're not customizing this, but if you can, there's tons of documentation on how to customize it. And okay, let's go into, let's start fleshing out our utility functions. So these are things, first of all, let's just import the things we know we'll need from django.contrib.auth.models import user. And then from socialgraph.models import userlink. So we got the user and the userlink models ready. And now let's do get people user follows. And can you guess what this is going to do? First of all, we want to do get all of the user links that have the specified user as the from user. Userlink.objects.filter from user equals user. Now, what we're going to do is a little bit different here. We're not really interested in loading up all of the actual models for this because we don't need all of that. Really, the only thing we need from this query is the values of one specific field, the to user field. So we're going to do dot values to user. And that's going to return something called a values query set, which is essentially a list of dictionaries. And so the dictionaries have one key in it, and that's to user. And that key will be the primary key of the user that it's related to. So what we can do then is we can say, for example, if we just want to return all of the users whose IDs are the same as the IDs that we are following. If that makes any sense here, I'll type up the code so that hopefully it makes more sense visually. User.objects.filter ID in. So we're saying for all of the users whose IDs are in, and then we're going to write a list comprehension for to user for I in UL. So we're iterating all over those lists of dictionaries, and we're saying that for each item in that list, we want to get the to user, which is, remember, the ID of the user to whom the user is following. So we're returning, in essence, a query set of users that this person follows. So the opposite thing we can do is def get people following user. And as you can imagine, it's quite similar. We're just going to do the same type of UL equals userlink.objects.filter to user equals user. We're going to do dot values from user this time. And we'll just copy this pretty much completely. And instead, we're going to change this to from user. And then finally, we want to make one more convenience function called get mutual followers. And in this, we want to find all of the people who are following you, who are following the user, and who the user is also following. So, what we can do is we can say follows equals that. We'll say following equals this. Oops, grabbed the wrong part. So now what we can do is we can turn these into sets of IDs. So we're going to say follows set equals, and then set, and then we'll say I to user for I in follows. And it's not worth copying. Following set equals set I from user. Oops, there's a syntax error there. For I in following. And now what we can do is we can say user.objects.filter. Same thing we did here, except this time we can say follows, one second, and say follows set dot intersection following set. So what this does is we're actually getting the set intersection between the people, the IDs in the follows set and the IDs in the following set. So what you're getting is just the overlap, just the set intersection. So, and that's all returned in a normal Django query set. So we've got our models, we've got an admin to explore it, and we've got some utilities for querying for that. So let's just go and syncdb and actually I gotta get back. Oh, and we also have to make sure that we add it to the settings file. I almost forgot. Actually, I did forget. So social graph, and this will actually make Django pick up on it, and it says that it created the table and installed the index. So let's run the server and explore. So if we go back to our app and we go admin, looks like we have social graph user links, and I can add a user link from me to. Ooh, it's not going to work. Let's test this out. Yep, it says you cannot follow yourself. So that was exactly what we wanted to happen. So what we can do is we can add a new user, and we'll call it user1, and they're going to have a crazy hard password of user1. So that we got a new user in the system. And then we're going to go to the user links again, and I'm going to say that Eric Flow is following user1. And there we go. So now we've got that textual representation from the models file that we got from Unicode. And so, as you can see, the user link is functioning as we expected. And in the next episode, we're going to actually start building out the views and linking to them from the URLs.